Okay, I'm going to talk through a little bit about the Eastwood gun. I'm not going to do a full review. I have a couple other videos on the powder coating booth I built here, the smoker right there, it's in the Craftsman box for the oven, the Harbor Freight blasting cabinet, and then a compressor. I have separate videos for each of these just because I wanted to walk through each of them. But anyways, I wanted to talk just for a minute about specifically the Eastwood gun here. Let me set this up. Okay, just a couple of things that I've done here. So it only comes with a gun right here. Here's a connector. I think that was a male connector out. And then you kind of see I put a union pipe fitting here. And the reason for having all this here is that I did a lot of research online and looked at a lot of recommendations and things like that. And you need some kind of pressure gauge, ideally at the gun, because you're trying to control and only get between like 5, 6, 7, 8 pounds of pressure when you're using the gun. It doesn't really take a whole lot, so I wanted a regulator right here at the gun. Also notice, and I'll put some links into the description, that this is a low pressure. They make them, most of them come like up to 150, from 0 to 150. I wanted a little more, maybe it's not a ton more fine control, but I wanted to be able to range that in there and dial it in a little bit more. And then also you don't want any water or oil, so this is an inline filter here. Obviously you don't want any of that into your powder. I also have a water filter and oil filter on the compressor before it gets to here, so I've never had to drain this, but there's a little button there that drains it out. If you see any condensation or any water in there, that'll shoot it out. And then the quick connect right here. I kind of wish that they had a disconnect somewhere on the gun here, because this thing is hardwired into the gun, so you can never kind of take this off anywhere. It's kind of hardwired into the gun. You can kind of see right here, all the wires, none of them disconnect. The power, the ground, the one that goes to the gun itself, and then there's the button. You see that gray one goes there. There's the button. I have it just kind of hanging up there for turning it on. Anyway, so that's what I've done here. So I've just put all this here. I just connect my shop air with my compressor right up to here. Works great. It looks like it's long and bulky at that point, but it really doesn't get my way because I'm just holding it straight up and I'm just shooting here into the booth. So it hangs down, but I'm never turning my gun or anything like that here. So it works perfectly fine. And I'll go over the compressor in another video. But anyway, just wanted to show a little bit of how I got this connected. And then also the canister here, I think previously they didn't come with a clear one. I don't know, I think that was a couple of years ago. I've had this thing for about a little over a year. This thing, you want to fill it up. Again, what I've been reading, you kind of see this is where it picks up. And this, here it's just kind of a standard plastic container. So it's going to come up, the air is going to shoot out there, and you want the powder somewhere in the 2/3 range. You want this thing submerged in the powder, because it's really just, you can imagine it's blowing up air, and the powder's really, it's kind of like dust. It's basically microplastics. So it just creates this dust cloud here, and it gets forced out of here, out of the gun, and here's where it picks up the static charge to connect to the whatever you have hanging in your booth. So it's pretty simple setup. Again, this is one of the cheaper ones you can find. It's a beginner one. There's not a ton of settings that you get in with the more expensive and the professional ones. So I mean, but it has high, low, and it does great for me. Again, I'm doing stuff like this. I'm doing brackets and things. I'm not doing anything huge. This is not professional. This is not production. This is just doing some one-off parts. I've probably done like 40 or 50 parts at this point, and this thing works great, absolutely great. Also, just something real quickly, what I tend to do is Um, I will empty this. I'll fill it up and empty it. And the way I fill it up from the powder that I have is pretty layman's. Actually, let me go grab that, and I'll kind of show you how I store it too. All right, here it is. This is my container of powder. See, I have in there. I basically only use the one Prismatic Powder's semi-gloss at this point, 400 degrees, 12 minutes. This stuff is like super chalky and dusty. You can kind of see it there. Do not store this thing. Do not store your powder in any kind of warm, humid, or otherwise adverse condition. Keep it inside. I keep this inside. I made the mistake of having it in my car when I was taking it somewhere at some point, and the inside of the car got warm. I live in Atlanta, go figure, and it kind of clumped up on me. So it goes bad very, very easily. I've been using this, and I shouldn't be using it. I've been using this for over a year now. I ran it through a strainer, like a powder sugar type strainer, and I got some of the clumps out. But you should really refresh it pretty frequently. But again, keep it in something that's tight. I mean, this was meant to, it's kind of funny, but it was meant to carry a powder. So, and the whole purpose is here just to keep the moisture out. So I just kind of pour it into this. Again, I use, let's see, yep, this is my funnel. I just pour it in there, and it goes right in there. Shake it in there about 2/3, and it goes in there. Something I realized that all along I've been pouring it back out of here through the funnel back into the container, but you know, maybe it seems kind of obvious, but I realized that if I just had a lid for this, I could just unscrew this from the gun and put a lid on it, and go figure. Again, kind of funny, but any kind of vitamin, this is not a special container lid. This is, it goes right on there. So you can just go around your house. You can buy tops for it, $6, $7, I don't know what it is, but just I kind of enjoy going around the house and trying to figure out what I can use for free to do what I need to do. So I could just kind of put the top back on here, bring it inside, pull the top off, and connect it back up. I clean the gun every time I use it. I basically just disconnect the shop air and I put a nozzle on it, and I pull this out, and these things are coated obviously in the powder, and there's powder in there, and so I just blow up through there, different angles, and you can see it shoot out there. Definitely blow that tip off because the tip is going to be covered, but it gets pretty clean. Again, I don't wipe it down or anything. I just kind of shoot it with some shop air. And also the inside of this, make sure you do this outside. That stuff is nasty and not good for you. So use your respirator whenever using, or you're around powder, or you're pouring it from one device to another, because that stuff, I mean, that's the whole purpose of it, is that it's a really fine powder, and it kind of just floats in the air. It's just this kind of dust cloud that you're going to breathe in if you're anywhere near it and you don't have some kind of respirator. I think the final point I wanted to make was in terms of the amount of powder that you use. Like I said, I've done probably 40 or 50. You know, again, they look like brackets like this, hinges, things like that, and it uses almost no powder. Even with my crazy overspray, yeah, that's caked on right there after only just a couple of parts. I think I still have 1.5 pounds, so maybe I've gone through 1.5 pounds, and it's like $12-15 a pound. It's really, really inexpensive. So don't worry about, again, depending on what you're going to be doing and how long it might take you. If it's going to take you a while, you may want to order it in batches just so it's fresh. Again, make sure you store it in someplace dry, but it really doesn't use much powder at all. If I do 5 or 6 pieces at a time, that would be a lot for me. I certainly don't refill this thing, and it maybe just goes up, you know, this amount here. It's really nothing. So, yeah, I guess that's about it. Again, it works great for what I'm doing. My booth works great. The filter seems to work well. I'm going to probably talk about that a little bit more on a separate video, but yeah, that's about it.